Hello, my name is Griselda Ramirez, and I am currently in high school, and I am 15 years old. I'm a sophomore. This story will take place in both Mexico and the United States. The time period will be the 1960s. The story is about a woman I admire and love, Maria Carmen Lopez Ramirez, my grandmother. I dedicate this to her, and I hope the story leaves an everlasting imprint in your heart as it left in mine. The title of the story is Never Gave Up. Maria Carmen Lopez Ramirez was born on April 1st, 1940, and passed away on November 11th, 1914. As a child, she lived in El DF, or El Distrito Federal de Mexico. She lived in a one-bedroom house with 7 siblings and 2 abusive parents. Both her parents were alcoholics, and they would continuously beat her to the point that she would have to go to the hospital, which is why she would go to her aunt's house every day to get away from her family. Her aunt was a woman who fed her, took care of her, and she would take her to work with her at times. And if she was working with her, she would go with her aunt to go clean houses for the rich. This was her life till she turned 19 and she met a man. As she came of age, she married my grandfather, Joel Ramirez. He was an abusive and alcoholic husband. With my grandfather, she had 6 children. The eldest one is now 55 and the youngest is 31. The man she married would beat her up and the children continuously. And one day I remember her telling me to never let any man touch me or control me. My grandfather did not work. He basically lived his life in bars till his death. My grandmother was the one who worked long hours to put food on the table for her family. In Mexico, she worked as a cook for a restaurant and a homeless shelter. By her mid-20s, she created her own restaurant in front of a large company. She profited a lot of money from the restaurant. In 1970, the government took her restaurant because they wanted to build homes in that location. The following 5 years, she was unemployed. All the family lived in a one-bedroom apartment with no electricity or running water. She then decided to leave her husband and come over to the United States with her family. She worked in the strawberry and raspberry fields for 2 years while she looked for a better job. Also during this time, her 3 youngest children were currently finishing high school, and one of the 7 would eventually go to college. After 2 years of looking for a job, she finally landed one in a restaurant. During her time there, she was promoted to head chef till she left to start her own catering business. My grandmother started her own catering business in the year of 1989. This business was extremely successful. With the money she had made, she was able to buy a house for her family, as they had been currently living in a 2-bedroom apartment. My grandmother continued to have her catering business till she retired at age 70. So it was basically done with after she retired. The last years of her life were extremely hard for her and the entire family. My grandmother was brilliant on a dialysis machine. This was a machine that she would have to go and they would drain blood in and out of her, and it would leave her exhausted, and she would basically be not here after it, and it really hurt me to see her like that. But I'm going to spare you the distressing details. Let's just say she was a fighter to the end. She never gave up. My grandmother lived a hard life, but she never let that stop her from achieving goals. You should never let that stop you either. And that's basically it for my story. But there's much more to it. Maybe if I ever get to meet whoever's reading or listening to this, I can tell you this in depth. I'm only 15 years old, so maybe the next 30 years plus, as Miss Henry says, not to have kids till you're 55. I will tell you about it in more detail and hope to see you soon. Anyways, goodbye.